From peasant to emperor, the rise of Liu Bang. We've all heard the phrase, "Don't judge a man by his origins." And nowhere is this more true than with Liu Bang, the man who would become the first emperor of the Han Dynasty. Born into poverty in Pei County, he worked his way up to the position of village official. But even in this humble position, his natural charisma and leadership qualities shone through. When a tyrannical Qin king ordered him to break free from his prison camp and lead a rebellion, Liu Bang became an outlaw. There he met Xiang Yu, a powerful warlord who became his rival. While Xiang Yu was a brute force kind of guy, Liu Bang's strength was his empathy. He understood the people's grievances and used it to build a mass movement against the Qin. After some strategic victories, including the capture of Xianyang, the Qin capital, Liu Bang's legend grew. It was here that he hosted the famous Gate banquet, where he narrowly escaped an assassination attempt. The next 10 years would be known as the Great War, the Chu-Han contention, where the cunning strategies of Liu Bang would be put to the test against the brute force of Xiang Yu. And it was here that Liu Bang's greatest general, Han Xin, would emerge from obscurity to lead the Han army to victory. To find out how Han Xin went from zero to hero, watch the next episode of From Peasant to Emperor. We've all been peasants. Okay, maybe not all of us, but many of us. We know how it feels to be looked down upon by society, to feel like your life has no meaning, and to believe that you are nothing more than a lowly subject of the state, a number in a census, a mouth to feed, and an extra set of hands to work the fields for barely enough food to eat, and a place by the fire at night. For millions of people across China, this was their reality under the oppressive reign of the Qin Dynasty. But there was one man who refused to accept this, one man who would rise above not just his station in life, but the entire system that had imprisoned him. He would become the first emperor of one of the greatest dynasties in history, the Han Dynasty. This is the story of Liu Bang, the peasant who became the emperor. This is the first episode of a series called From Peasant to Emperor. The year is 206 BC. The location, Pei County. Back in those days, most of modern-day Shandong province. Imagine the year before, when the tyrannical Qin Shi Huang united China under his rule and made himself the first emperor of a unified China. In doing so, he established a series of prefectures to oversee the administration of these disparate regions. One such prefecture was Pei. Under the watchful eye of the local magistrate, the people of Peasant County toiled away their lives, just another cog in the machine of the empire. Among them was a man named Liu Bang, a simple peasant farmer whose life consisted of working the fields and collecting rent for the local lord. But Liu Bang was not your average farmer. Even as a young boy, he had dreams that were bigger than the horizon. There was something about him, some sort of aura that drew people towards him. According to the records of the grand historian, Liu Bang was tall and robust with a large frame and imposing presence. As a young man, he was known for his strength and bravery, having once wrestled a tiger and killed it after it had wounded him. He also had a certain charm and charisma about him that made him well-liked among the common folk. One day, while walking home from a trip into town, Liu Bang encountered a group of men arguing over a dead pig that had been blocking the road. Without hesitation, he stepped forward and offered to buy the pig from them, promising to return with the money shortly. As soon as he left, the men began to divide up the spoils, unaware that Liu Bang had already informed the local police of their plan to rob passers-by. When they returned with the cash, the officers were waiting for them and swiftly arrested them. This was not an isolated incident. Throughout his life, Liu Bang had a knack for finding trouble, whether it was getting into fights with local bullies or outsmarting tax collectors who tried to extort him. He was always ready to stand up for what he believed in, even if it meant putting himself in danger. So when news spread throughout the region that Chen Sheng, a fellow peasant, had started an uprising against the Qin, Liu Bang knew he had to do something. He might have been just an ordinary peasant farmer, but he wasn't going to let the Qin oppress his people without doing anything about it. After discussing it with his wife, Lady Qi, he decided to join Chen Sheng's rebellion and become an outlaw, an enemy of the state. Now, normally when someone becomes an outlaw, we don't expect them to suddenly rise to power and become an emperor. It's usually the other way around. But Liu Bang wasn't any ordinary person. He had a certain charisma and charm about him that made people want to follow him. When he joined Chen Sheng's rebel army, he quickly rose to the rank of general. And when Chen Sheng was killed in battle, Liu Bang took over the army and continued to fight against the Qin. What followed was a series of victories for the rebel army, culminating in the capture of the capital city of Xianyang. With the emperor's seat now within reach, the rebels divided up the spoils of war, each believing they deserved the throne. However, Liu Bang didn't want to simply take the throne by force. He understood that to truly unite China, he needed to win the hearts and minds of the people. His main rival was a man named Xiang Yu, a fierce warrior who had been a general in Chen Sheng's army alongside Liu Bang. While Xiang Yu was a great military leader and a powerful fighter, he was not as charismatic or strategic as Liu Bang. Where Xiang Yu relied on brute force, Liu Bang relied on wit and diplomacy. A perfect example of this was during the legendary Hong Gate banquet held in Xianyang after the fall of the Qin. Liu Bang managed to escape an assassination attempt by Xiang Yu, who had come to kill him out of jealousy and suspicion. Instead, Liu Bang turned the tables and convinced Xiang Yu to call off the attack, emphasizing the importance of presenting a united front to the rest of the empire. This display of cunning and quick thinking further solidified Liu Bang's reputation as a capable leader. Following the Hongmen banquet, both leaders set out to conquer the empire, giving rise to a new period of warfare known as the Great War, or the Chu-Han contention, which lasted for 4 years. During this time, both armies fought countless battles against each other, sometimes resulting in massive casualties. Despite facing defeat in several battles, including the Battle of Chengpu, where his general Han Xin was nearly captured by Xiang Yu, Liu Bang never lost hope. He regrouped and devised a strategy to lure Xiang Yu into a trap, ultimately defeating him at the Battle of the Jishui River. This victory marked a turning point in the conflict, setting the stage for Liu Bang's eventual triumph and the establishment of the Western Han Dynasty. After subduing his rivals and reunifying China, he took the title of Emperor Gaozu of Han. Despite his humble beginnings, he went down in history as one of the greatest emperors of China. But Liu Bang's journey to becoming the founding emperor of the Han Dynasty was not easy. In fact, it was filled with many obstacles and challenges that threatened to derail his efforts. One of the biggest threats he faced was the formidable warlord Xiang Yu. Xiang Yu was a skilled military strategist and a powerful fighter who commanded a loyal army of warriors. He was also ambitious and determined to establish his own dynasty. This meant that Liu Bang had to contend with Xiang Yu's forces not only on the battlefield, but also in the realm of diplomacy and strategy. Xiang Yu's prowess in battle was evident in the early years of the war, when he defeated Liu Bang's forces several times. This caused many of Liu Bang's allies to abandon him and join Xiang Yu's side. But despite these setbacks, Liu Bang never gave up. One of the reasons Liu Bang was able to succeed where others had failed was because he was able to adapt to changing circumstances. He was able to learn from his mistakes and adjust his strategies accordingly. For example, after suffering a defeat at the Battle of Chengpu, Liu Bang was forced to flee and regroup. Instead of becoming discouraged, he used this time to recuperate and devise a new plan to defeat his enemies. This flexibility and adaptability allowed him to turn the tide of the war in his favor. Another factor in Liu Bang's success was his ability to forge alliances with other warlords and factions. While Xiang Yu relied primarily on brute force and military strength, Liu Bang was able to win over potential allies through diplomacy and negotiation. He was also adept at recognizing the strengths of others and using them to his advantage. For example, he appointed the brilliant strategist Han Xin as his chief advisor. Recognizing Han Xin's strategic genius and ability to outmaneuver his opponents. As the war with Xiang Yu dragged on, Liu Bang's initial strategy of relying on popular support and light troop deployments proved ineffective. Realizing the need for a change in tactics, he made a crucial decision to appoint Han Xin as his chief advisor. This marked a significant shift in Liu Bang's approach to the conflict. Under Han Xin's guidance, the Han army underwent a transformation. They adopted more aggressive strategies and began to outmaneuver and defeat Xiang Yu's forces. Han Xin's brilliance as a strategist was evident in his ability to predict his opponent's moves and exploit their weaknesses. He employed guerrilla tactics, feigned retreats and surprise attacks, keeping Xiang Yu's army on the defensive. The turning point of the war came at the Battle of the Jishui River. This victory shattered Xiang Yu's military supremacy and demoralized his troops.